Hello and welcome. It's Andrei Lochin once again with the program Binding. Today's guest is a representative of the so-called lieutenant culture, Serhiy Serhiyovych, call sign Saigon. He's in that category of people who fought in a war and wrote a book about it. It stood out from other war-related books. He released it a bit later than similar books by his fellow brothers in arms, but he did not get lost in the crowd. He really is unique, and not just in the literary sense because of his book, but in terms of communicating and socializing. We'll convince you of this right now. Serhiy, we've hosted a lot of writers since our literature is flourishing and new books are appearing all the time. Books are created by people with the same sparkle in their eyes, who were at war and wanted to transfer their experience to books. The issue here relates to the aspects of books, as many people served, but not all of them wrote a book. At some point, a person realizes that they must document it because it is critical, because I must do it. Was that the case with you? It was a little different. In fact, I was going to war and thought that it would be positive for me to keep a diary, a simple diary. However, a physical carrier has a short life on the front line. For instance, a herring is wrapped in paper and so on. I thought about a Facebook account. It's quite convenient to write in the digital medium. You make a note and that's it. It's done. Then Zuckerberg saved it all. In one sense, he did save it. There is data and chronology, so you can review it all later on. It is a good form for diary. Then the dialogues of my comrades emerged in the diary among other records. Many people liked it. There was a moment at which I realized that I'd created my first story. That's awesome. But what about the people who came to life on the pages of a gadget? Did they read the story, or did you compile it secretly, and only then did you reveal to them that there are now characters in Ukrainian literature? The book was released within a year and a half of me leaving military service. At that moment, no one knew what I was writing. For example, the officer, he's called Akim in my novel, thought right to the very end that I was writing something awful about him. He even wrote to me personally something from an I am a man perspective. What worse can be said about me that haven't already been said? Oh sure thing. He had no idea how I saw him. When he read my book, he became familiar with my vision of him and the other guys. Of course, the novel has photos now, and they took illustrations for avatars. They made it into the history of literature. Actually, there is a theory which argues that people behave differently even in extreme situations when they know they're being observed. Loosely speaking, you have a radiator that's blown at your place, and now you're trying to save the apartment.
Батарею с горячей водой, и вы пытаетесь как-то спасти квартиру, так вот вы будете делать это по-разному, если будете...
You will act differently in situations when you are alone or being filmed. I mean, when people know that they will become characters in a book, they may try to behave in a heroic manner in wartime. If a person doesn't know that their actions won't be documented, they act naturally. If people knew that the soldier who writes something in his phone is writing about them, about everyone, would it be any different? What would their attitude be then? I wrote the truth about them and described them how they were. Evidently, their reactions in war, and people react quickly and simplistically when at war, there's no time for unnecessary actions. When you write the truth, they simply see themselves as if they were on tape, nothing more or less. It was about them.
Они просто увидели себя как в записи, и все, и не больше, и не меньше. Это было о них. И мне кажется, что...
I think when you are surrounded by real men of duty, it would be strange to see them act differently when they know that someone is writing about them.
Будет меняться, знаючи они о том, что о них пишут. Ну, ведь это вот как-то...
I don't know, perhaps no one knows for sure. For instance, I know that many lieutenants, writers, who fought in a war and who published books, said that while they were writing it, or after the book's release, their comrades initiated discussions, and fights almost broke out about the accuracy of a written piece. Like you wrote it wrong. no at that moment, and so on. I mean, they discussed it not like a film, but like events in life. Your comrades, after reading the book, did they call you and ask, Serhiy, what have you written? Everything was not like that. Of course, such things happened. It is the phenomenon of war. If you take two participants of one event, combat, you take them an hour after the end of combat, place them on different sides and ask them to tell you about the event. They would both tell you contradictory and completely different stories. Therefore, I received feedback associated with surprise rather than disagreement. They did not ask, are you sure that happened? But did I really run in that direction? I thought I ran somewhere else. No, you ran there, don't you remember? Oh, okay, yes. We return to the concept of the film that they're once again watching about themselves, one which has already been filmed, in which they acted. Surprisingly, many writers make something up. Whether you want it or not, there is fiction. Not everything, but to some extent. Otherwise, it's not really a book, but a report. No one is writing. I'm currently in a burning tank as I write this. You write after the event has taken place. Therefore, you recreate it in a literary sense. How much truth and how much fiction does your book contain? Everybody says, I wrote only the truth, but there are fictional events and characters. However, that's normal, because otherwise it would be a TV report. Perhaps it's appropriate to call my book a chronicle. Our own is a fictional story written with Martin Brest. Other stories are autobiographical. Yes, almost every story, or I'm not sure now. All of them are autobiographical. Almost all of them? No, sorry, the rest of the stories are autobiographical. They're about people. If there was fiction, then one could interpret as fiction those people that I described, their behavior and decisions. I wanted to depict people so others would read about them as they actually were. The fiction genre is quite difficult for me, and I thought constantly that my book would be too formal. Is it interesting for readers? They went somewhere, but nothing happened. You must realize that everyone wants to read about the fighting at the end. When the book Dirt, Khaki was released, quite a few war books were already out there. They're different and popular, since readers wanted this genre. The publisher took a risk when releasing another book about war, but surprisingly, it was received well. Moreover, I would say it varies dramatically from other books. We should look in detail how this is so. The book does not have boundaries. There's no border between the book and the author. You simply write, and then you structure it. Irочка Belocerkivska commented on one post and offered to help me with the design. As a result, the help turned into cooperation, and we did a book together. Dirt Khaki, to be precise. It is my favorite book. Significantly, Ira always says that a book should reflect the idea of the author. So, to be honest, I saw the book specifically like this. We tried to create the best product in high quality, because I wanted my book to be an excellent, top-quality product. We agreed upon this aspect of book design. She wanted a product and not simply a book that one can buy and sell. We managed to create an excellent book with magnificent illustrations. I remember the book and Kyiv Book Arsenal. I remember the book and people who visited the trade show, watched and bought books. I have one more question. How is a book created? There is the phenomenon of a blogger who posts something in social media and then designs everything, and then you have a book. Nevertheless, as luck would have it, a book is not simply a collection of random posts assembled under a cover. It is something different. To what extent did the book evolve from the posts posted on social media? In fact, it was a colossal volume of work, which began with the process of sorting. If you reread the book, you may notice that there are no negative characters in it, though in my posts, I did have stories about negative heroes. Of course, I remember several Facebook posts, there were negative characters. Yes, but I decided for sake of those guys to whom I dedicated this book, I dismissed stories about negative characters, so they won't be next to positive ones. When we'd sorted a certain amount of information, we collected the stories and decided which ones would be included, and these stories underwent literary editing. In my case, it is important to maintain some sort of style, since the book is written virtually in 3 languages, in some sense, in 2 languages and 1 or more dialects.
Важно было не сломать стиль. Не сломать стиль. У нас нашлась Наточка.
We found Natashka Kuznetsova, who skillfully edited the text without changing anything, but making it look like a masterpiece. When I got my first print copy, I could not start reading it because Irочка might be surprised by this information somewhat, but when they sent me the edited text, I did not read them, but approved them. I can only imagine. Indeed, I only approved them, and when I had this printed book in my hands and started to read one of the stories, I was blown away by it. I thought, wow, who created it? When talking about these literary lieutenants, those who served in a war and then accomplished their goal as writers, it is notable that these authors have only one book. One can hardly call them writers. They are rather soldiers who cleverly retold what they had seen. Interestingly, will Saigon go on to repeat their fate? I am at the point when I can say that I'm quitting writing for the time being. Like quitting booze, but quitting writing. It can be argued that it's easy to quit writing when half the book is ready, leave it alone for a week, but you still have to finish the text, of course. It's something that is alive. I can't just leave it. I don't like the phenomenon of one book. I'm always trying to persuade and force my old friend Martin Brest to continue writing. Is he digging his heels in? Not so much, but he's following the patterns that you described. I wrote everything I knew, and I can't make anything up. I can tell you as a former musician that I knew this mighty bunch, sorry for the choice of words. It included the chemist Borodin, who was supposed to compose a symphony, and he avoided it for the sake of chemistry. He constantly repeated, I wrote what I could. So his friend Rimsky-Korsakov bought a pile of sheet music and wrote in big letters at the top, Borodin, Symphony 2. Then he brought it to him and said, here, you have the material, please go ahead. You can do the same, write Martin Brest at the top and so on, or any kind of gadget. But will we see another book written by Saigon? Of course you will. When you write at a certain stage and there are 300 or 400 symbols, you stop interpreting the text from the reader's perspective. You see it as architecture with its structure and its weaknesses. You become fascinated by it. For example, what would happen if you take away one small brick from there? What will change? And what if you place this brick over here? It looks amazing. You start to analyze the text and see that the same story can be written from 3 different perspectives. And in the end, there would be 3 different and independent pieces of work. It's called writing creatively, by the way. You like it, but the goal is essential for the author. What challenges do you face when writing? In my case, the second book, when released, There Is No Place for If, will definitely tell the story of Ukrainian villages. I see, so no more military theme for a while. For a while. Is it for a while? Of course, because I still have lots to say. There's no doubt you have. Right now it should be a book about villages, because I have this direct cause and effect connection. So these guys who live in villages, they end up fighting in war, and it does not change them. In the previous book we described the finishing line, the war.
пацанами из сел.
So it's appropriate to show the starting point,
Конечный, да, пункт, то есть война, то нужно показать,
how everything started. Exactly. Then one more question. If everything is clear and comprehensive with the book about war, the novel about the Ukrainian village and life could become significant for Ukrainian literature. And who knows, perhaps it will initiate the genre of the 21st century village novel. What will it contain? Will you avoid fiction and fictional characters? No, there will be no fictional characters there, but it will narrate the life that we had without any kind of exaggeration or something obsolete. I have one hard question for you. Did you receive any invitations to visit schools or other places as a veteran and a writer to meet children and tell them about the war? This was popular in my childhood. I'm afraid of such invitations. Why so? I remember we had these meetings with veterans in my childhood as well. They told us stories how they fought, killed enemies and so on. But later on, I saw war with my own eyes, and I have nothing to say. Is it too much for children? I think they should be protected from such stories. Then we should wait until they grow up and read Saigon's book. Yes, it's a deal. Thanks for coming. I wish you every success with villages, in war, writing and in life. Thank you.